All right, so tonight's video, right? We're discussing the old 2,000-year-old Bible, right? And whether or not the Catholic Church tried to hide it, all right? And then we're gonna see if it reveals the secret or reveals a secret about Jesus, all right? So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, join the fam. Let's check it out.
Christianity has dominated the earth for centuries, bringing with it reverence and scrutiny through the ages. Countless secrets and hidden mysteries often have Christianity at their heart, especially ancient and medieval manuscripts and intrigues. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at several mysteries and discoveries surrounding religion. A 1,500-year-old Bible argues Jesus' fate. Christianity has broken into many sectors throughout the years, each adhering to their own moral codes and interpreting the Bible in different ways. Like any piece of literature, the Bible is indeed up to interpretation. However, it's hard to interpret a story when it was never told in the first place. According to the Ethnography Museum,
I think that's what always got me about it. You know what I mean? You go different places and you hear them speak, and it's all different interpretations from what I gather, you know, from what my ears heard. You know, you may hear someone put it this way and this way, or you get the Bibles that have the breakdowns and it have two different breakdowns, two different views. You know what I mean? They're different. Each breakdown is different. So that was always interesting to me.
Story when it was never told in the first place. According to the Ethnography Museum of Ankara, Turkey, a new version of the Bible believed to be 15 to 2,000 years old has resurfaced and caused upheaval to the Christian faith. This is because this Bible includes the Gospel of Barnabas. The story reveals that Jesus was never nailed to the cross, but he was also not the Son of God. This story insists that Jesus was only a prophet and that his fate was not crucifixion at all, but that he instead made it to heaven. However, the story of crucifixion is not completely lost. In this story, Judas Iscariot was believed to be nailed to the cross instead. This book came to light during a heist when a group of thieves attempted to smuggle highly valuable goods across the Mediterranean Sea. This version of the Bible is believed to be worth over $25 million, both for its shocking revelations and antiquity. It's no secret that the world of Christianity and the world of Islam have been at odds for years. However, this contention is largely based on how we as people should interpret Jesus' place in the Bible and thus honor him thereafter. Because this new biblical story reveals that Jesus quite possibly knew the Prophet Muhammad and foresaw his arrival, it can be said that if Christians do decide to honor this new gospel, then their teachings and belief systems might align differently. However, it is common practice of any church, but especially the Christian church, to pick and choose which stories they want to include in modern practice. It takes a keen scholarly eye to authenticate the true intent of Jesus' word at the conception of the Bible. But it takes only several elders of the church to manipulate the transcriptions to align with modern belief systems. While the Vatican remains highly interested in this new finding, it cannot be said whether the entirety of Christianity will change because of it. We do know one thing though. If this gospel stayed hidden from us for more than 1,500 years, then it is reasonable to wonder what else is out there.
That's my thing right there. They found this Bible. It's worth what, $25 million now? Had they'd have never had that heist, would we have found it? Why are you keeping it like tucked away? I have like so many questions now. And then what he just recently said?
We do know one thing though. If this gospel stayed hidden from us for more than 1,500 years, then it is reasonable to wonder what else is out there.
What else is there? What else is out there I don't know? Or you're trying to keep from me? You know what I mean? That's why I just try to just do right. You know, I try to do right. I try to live right and hope for the best.
Did Jesus have healing powers? Jesus Christ is considered to be one of the most influential people in history. He is the founder of Christianity, and Christians believe him to be the incarnation of the Son of God. It is believed that Jesus performed a number of miracles during his lifetime. Some of the most commonly attributed miracles to Jesus include turning water into wine, walking on water, calming storms, feeding the multitude, and resurrection of the dead. However, the most talked about miracle of Jesus that has been mentioned a number of times in various religious scriptures, and that is believed by millions around the world, is his ability to heal people. It is believed that Jesus could cure the diseased simply by saying a few words and sometimes by applying his spit to the diseased part. He could also heal the blind and cure those suffering from leprosy. These amazing healing powers of Jesus have been widely mentioned in the religious books of Christianity as well as Islam. While the religion and history both have many stories of the healing powers of Jesus, science does not support it, and therefore people explain these powers as miracles. Many people believe that these were the different miracles that Jesus was capable of performing because he was divine. So
this is why I bring videos like this for us to check out and discuss. Reason being, because the whole path we're going down now with science and research and understanding space and different things like that, when you choose to go down that path, things like this come into question. You know what I mean? So it's healthy to continue to have these conversations without, you know what I mean, the extraness and the anger and that. No, it's good to have healthy dialogue about things, because when you start learning things new, you often present yourself with questions about things you've always known of, or things you always been taught. You know what I mean? So naturally, we have to get to a point to where we can have these discussions, which are important.
Different miracles that Jesus was capable of performing because he was divine. Some people believe that Jesus had some advanced knowledge of Reiki or hypnosis that allowed him to carry out miracle-like acts of healing people. And then there are many people who simply refuse to believe that Jesus had any healing powers. They simply denounce them as made-up stories. However, there are hundreds of stories about the miracles of Jesus. While most of these are mentioned in the religious scriptures, some historians have also come to the conclusion that Jesus did perform some miracle-like acts, including healing people. The healing power of Jesus and the other miracles that he performed are likely to remain a mystery.
The legend of the Codex Gigas. One of the most well-known stories concerning that of a person making a deal with the devil is the existence of the fabled Codex Gigas. The Codex Gigas, also referred to as the Devil's Bible, was supposedly written by the devil himself after a desperate monk summoned him in exchange for his life. According to the legend, a monastery in Bohemia that made up the monks of the Black Cloth, a radical Christian group of whom devoted their belief to God by performing gruesome acts of starvation, isolation, and self-mutilation, accepted the terms outlined by one monk who promised to write the greatest book in a single night. The reason for this promise was due to the fact that the monk of the ministry had broken such a sacred rule of their monastery that the sin itself was covered up. After the other monks had convened, they decided that the punishment for the monk would be to wall himself up alive, essentially trapping him into a mausoleum. This led the monk to quickly promise the monastery that he could earn redemption by crafting the largest book that held all of human knowledge, including magic, medicine, information on herbs, as well as the entire Bible, in only one night. The monastery agreed to this outlandish promise on the basis of making a deal with the monk. They would allow him a chance at redemption if he could create the book in one night, but if he failed, they would continue with their punishment regardless. This led to the monk working throughout the night in a moment of panic, gathering all of the supplies necessary and binding the massive book before realizing that it would be humanly impossible to complete the task. At the stroke of midnight, in his desperation, he performed a dark ritual and summoned the devil himself. He quickly promised the devil his soul if the devil himself would use his supernatural powers to create the book and save him from death.
See, whether I believe or I don't believe, whether people do or don't, I still don't play around with it. You know what I mean? Especially stuff like this.
In an instant, the devil accepted the deal and wrote the entire book in a single night, fulfilling the promise and saving the life of the monk. Interestingly enough, in the modern day, when experts took the time to look over the book, they found overwhelming evidence that the entire book was written by a single author in an incredibly short amount of time. The expected amount of time to work on such a massive book was expected to be more than a single author's lifetime. However, the entire piece has a consistent style of writing, of which is only possible to accomplish by having a lone author using the same type of ink made in the same way as is common with books with a single author, and has an entire page of a drawing of the devil as a reference to the credit of the author. The Lost Ark of the Covenant. As the Israelites were making their way across the Sinai Desert after their departure from Egypt, Moses, with strict orders from God himself, commanded them to construct the infamous Ark of the Covenant.
We just covered this the other day. You see how crazy it is, how things come right back to you? Hadn't heard nothing about this, but we just covered it, and look, right back at us again.
Inside the Ark is home to numerous tablets engraved with the 10 Commandments from the Hebrew Bible that are believed to host magical powers, both good and evil. The tablets are believed to be made of gold from the Garden of Eden, representing the morality of the universe. Like any biblical story, the truth of the matter is up to interpretation. Scholars who have studied the Lost Ark of the Covenant have debated whether the Ark is made of gold or wood, or both, what kind of powers it has, and ultimately where it ended up after vanishing from Jerusalem in 587 BC. God gave the Israelites extremely specific instructions for building the Ark of the Covenant. According to God, the Ark should be made of both wood and gold. However, the wood must be acacia wood that is 3.75 feet long and 2.25 feet wide. God then instructed the builders to sheath the wood with gold both inside and out. There was to be a cherub facing a certain direction on the lid of the chest, with its wings spread upward, casting a shadow below. To imagine that Israelites wandering through the desert for 40 years were expected to create such an artistic masterpiece with only their hands and some gold is a huge undertaking, even with God's guidance. To make this story more believable to modern people, it is now believed that God chose only one man to be the designer of the Ark and gifted him the skills he would need to complete the task. One of the most popular theories is that the Israelites used the Ark to gain advantages on their way to conquer Canaan after their extended journey through the desert. According to the Hebrew Bible, the Ark had the ability to stop water from flowing in the Jordan River so that the founders of the Ark could carry it across. It is also believed to have helped the Israelites in various battles on their way across the desert. Because the Ark was thought to be so powerful and had brought the Israelites such good fortune, it became a hot commodity. It was eventually stolen from the Israelites, but shortly thereafter, the thieves were swept with disease and fatal illnesses, causing them to return to the Ark immediately. Once the Israelites had reached Shiloh, the Ark was taken by King David and given to Solomon to be brought to Jerusalem, where it would stay in the temple. Roughly 2,000 years ago, the Ark disappeared once again. Scholars predict that the Ark was stolen for its supposed powers and is now hidden in Ethiopia at the St. Mary of Zion Cathedral. The cathedral has a monk called the Guardian, who is the only person allowed to see the Ark. There has been no authentication of the Ark to determine if it is the original from the Bible stories. Other theories run rampant about the true location of the artifact. The Book of Maccabees states that the Ark is hidden in a cave in Mount Nebo, and will remain unfound until called upon by God. At that point, we will know that God is giving us mercy because of the prolific powers that the Ark holds for human beings. Still.
See, that was always what I heard from people who didn't believe or who were skeptical about the whole thing. They were like, well, where is it? Why hasn't nobody discovered it? Where, you know what I mean? That was their pretty much the main gist of their argument.
Us mercy because of the prolific powers that the Ark holds for human beings. Still, there is always discussion about the Ark being revealed only when the Messiah comes to earth to rescue his people. And finally, the Ark is also believed to reveal itself only in the final days in the existence of the universe. Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell went down in history as a military and political figure who freed England from the authoritarian Charles I. He was given the high honour of being the Lord Protector of the Commonwealth of England, Scotland and Ireland. However, this is not his only legacy. While the English praised him for his great bravery, he was despised by the Irish who believed he was a king-slaying religious maniac. Let's dive deeper into this mysterious historical icon who, until this day, is believed to be the man who made a pact with the devil. In 1599, Oliver Cromwell was born to a wealthy family in Huntingdon, England. He grew up to be such a statesman and a respected member of the community that later on, he became part of the Parliament for Huntingdon in 1628. With regard to his family life, at 21 years old, he married Elizabeth Cromwell, who was a daughter of a businessman. They had 9 children together. Although little is known about his early life, he was described as an intensely religious man who believed that God is guiding his victories. He was known to be tolerant, if not a supporter of the Protestant faith. However, he hated the Catholics and they hated him back. Oliver Cromwell has committed extreme measures as a militarist, which many considered as genocidal. He was, and still is, widely criticised for such acts, especially in Ireland. After having slain King Charles I, not everyone was pleased with Oliver Cromwell. The Scottish people saw him as a mass murderer of men, women, and even children, and they strongly believed that he needed to be stopped at all costs. They wanted Charles II to take his place. It was a war between parliamentarians and royalists. In history books, this is known as the Battle of Worcester. After months of fighting against the underdog forces of Charles I, Oliver Cromwell knew that he was going to win the war. He had a significantly bigger army of men to fight for him. At this point, the royalists can only die or surrender to him. It was on September the 3rd, 1651, when the mystifying thing happened. Oliver Cromwell was in a camp in Perry Wood, a secluded area deep in the vast Feckenham forest. He, together with his captain of his own regiment, Colonel Lindsay, were taken to the woods to meet a mysterious elderly man holding a roll of parchment in his hands. Allegedly, this old man offered Cromwell to have whatever he wants for the next 7 years, and after that, he, the devil, will have complete mastery over his body and soul. According to the alleged account of Colonel Lindsay, Cromwell argued with the devil and demanded 21 years instead of only 7. After this, Cromwell happily screamed and celebrated because now the battle is in his hands. Soon after that encounter, the Battle of Worcester ended with thousands of men and horses killed and a lot more captured as prisoners. Cromwell has greatly won. However, his victory was not for long. Exactly 7 years after his alleged deal with the devil, he passed away due to multiple severe illnesses attributed to malaria and kidney stones at the age of 59. In 1659, Cromwell's son Richard, who was also his successor, surrendered to Charles II less than a year after his death. This is known in history as the Restoration. Fueled by vengeance, the new king ordered that the body of Cromwell be removed from his grave and be executed despite already being dead. Cromwell was hanged and beheaded.
Dang! Like, huh? Like, wow. That's a different level of hate right there. I've never heard nothing like that before. Jeez. And he thought his agreement with the devil, he thought he had won. He asked for 21 years? He still only got the 7. There you go, trying to trust somebody that you know you can't trust.
Fueled by vengeance, the new king ordered that the body of Cromwell be removed from his grave and be executed despite already being dead. Cromwell was hanged and beheaded in public, and his head was placed on a spike above Westminster Hall. The question of whether or not Oliver Cromwell's deal with the devil was for real is still left unanswered and continues to be a mystery more than 3 centuries after his death.
Wow.
But what do you make of these mysteries and discoveries surrounding religion? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.
This is interesting because I wonder if you guys ever heard about the 2,000-year-old Bible, first and foremost. Had y'all heard that? Were y'all aware of that? How do you feel after hearing that? You know what I mean? How does that make you feel? Number 2, about this last story. it reminds me of all the stories that you always hear coming out of the entertainment business in Hollywood and different places. You always hear people talking about they sold their soul or they made a deal with the devil. You know what I'm saying? And things is always going wrong. And you're always hearing these wild and crazy stories that end up in tragic situations and different things with actors and actresses and entertainers and this one and that one. It makes you think, you know what I mean? Some of these deals that they sign, who are you making a deal with? And I just compare that story to, you know what I mean, what we're hearing, what we heard with him. It's a cold world out here, man. It's a cold world. And things have been happening since forever. So to hear these stories and relate them, it just makes you think. And then the other thing, man, what else is being kept from us? That be my reasoning for listening and hearing these stories, to find out what could possibly, because we don't know if it's true or not, but what could be possibly being hidden from us. It's just all interesting though. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you think, man. Stick around and stay tuned. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.